The sea. The greatest motivator for seeing the world beyond the walls. The size and sheer concept instills wonder and curiosity in our young protagonists. Something so large and clear and pure simply can't exist, can it? Well, it doesn't in our world. Today we're going to be talking about the ocean in Attack on Titan, as well as how we can help save our own oceans, thanks to #TeamSeas. So without further ado, let's get into it. The sea is undoubtedly the biggest motivator for Eren and Armin at the start of the show. And even if the walls had never fallen, these two were planning to join the scouts anyway, with the goal of seeing the ocean. In fact, the ocean is a major reason that they became friends in the first place, and it will continue to impact their friendship up until the very end. We can see Armin using the ocean as a motivator for Eren multiple times throughout the show, the most prominent of which is in the Battle of Trost, when Eren becomes completely useless at the most crucial time. It is the ocean that brings Eren back to his senses and allows him to finish the mission to reclaim trust. We can also see him use it as a motivator for Mikasa and Eren at the end of Season 3 Part 1, as the trio has a conversation on the steps, with Levi secretly listening for some reason. Armin uses the ocean to kind of lighten the mood, as well as remind Eren of a long-lost motivation. And in turn, just a few episodes later, Eren uses that dream as a reason to save Armin. Unfortunately, when they finally get to the ocean, things do not go the way either of them had hoped. By this point in time, they already know about the outside world. They already know that the rest of the world wants the island gone, and as a result, they do not get to enjoy their time at the ocean in the way that they would like to. Don't get me wrong, they were definitely still happy to be there, accomplishing this goal and obtaining some sort of freedom. But the looming fact that right beyond the horizon was nations of enemies definitely put a damper on the visit. It's still a visually beautiful and thematically beautiful moment. But could you imagine if this scene looked like this? Chances are that if you were to go to a beach, this is probably what it would look like. Our oceans are massively polluted, and it's a problem that affects everyone. Luckily, there's a solution. #TeamSeas aims to remove 30 million pounds of trash from our oceans, rivers, and beaches. And you can help. Every dollar donated to the link in the description below will remove 1 pound of trash from our oceans. And for every subscriber that I get from this video, I will donate $1 to TeamSeas, up to $100. Cleaning up our oceans is an extremely ambitious project, and that's why we'll need some help from everyone. For more information, visit www.teamseas.org or click the link in the description below. There is also a good amount of symbolism behind the sea in Attack on Titan. It symbolizes some major themes, such as idealism and freedom. But the piece of symbolism I want to talk about the most today is symbolism related to the shell. This shell makes multiple appearances throughout the show, but it's very hard to find a consensus on what it actually means. It's obviously supposed to be some sort of symbolism. Traditionally, in religion and ancient mythology, shells are meant to symbolize birth, good fortune, and resurrection. I don't think it's supposed to symbolize birth, because it's always carried by Armin. And I don't think good fortune really fits it either, since things don't exactly go well while it's in the show. But it might symbolize resurrection in some way. See, the visit to the beach is a huge turning point for the series. In fact, you could break the show up into 2 parts: everything before the beach and everything after. The shell could be meant to symbolize the show's rebirth from a more post-apocalyptic fantasy show to one more centered on cycles of hate, racism, and genocide. However, the shell could have a very different meaning if we look at more modern media. The most obvious example of a shell in modern media is, of course, Lord of the Flies, where the shell symbolizes authority and the fragility of that authority. I don't think this shell is a direct reference to that shell, but I think it does borrow the aspect of fragility, as the situation our protagonists are in is extremely fragile. before the Survey Corps even reaches the beach. They are aware that the majority of the world wants them dead. Their newfound freedom is already being threatened, and they haven't even interacted with the rest of the world. If the shell represents anything, I think it is the fragility of their freedom, as most of the times we see the shell is after a conflict, which only makes their situation even more fragile. The first time we see it is obviously on the beach, when Eren comes to the conclusion that everything he saw in his father's visions was true, and that the people of the island are at odds with the rest of the world. The next time we see it is after the raid on Marley, after war has been formally declared on the island, after Eren, Armin, and the rest of the scouts massacre people in Liberia, and after they have passed a point of no return, further cementing the questionability of their freedom. The last time we see it is after the rumbling. The exact point at which we see this shell might be the most free that the island is up to this point. However, due to the actions of the rumbling, the safety of the island is most likely called into question multiple times after the manga ends. I know this might seem like a bit of a stretch, but I can't really think of anything else that the shell would symbolize. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear them in the comments down below. The sea is a very important part of Attack on Titan, and a very, very important part of our world. Thank you all for watching this week. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe down below. And don't forget to donate to Team Seas, where $1 will remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean. Thank you again, and I'll see you next week.